size, different size. But so one of the reasons I asked about the landscape material stuff, not so much storing, if you've been, but that's not the case. Why the service? I mean, yeah, no, yeah, most of that structure is on its own. So the question is, but I'm guessing that's just gonna. So, we don't wanna discuss this too much detail without the applicant being here, but I was wondering if people thought it would be a good idea to ask, to have Hans call Jeff Allen, so kind of give him a heads up about the shoreline zoning issue. Cause he clearly, there's no mention of before needing a shoreline zoning permit application, so he may not be aware of it. Two fifty line is what everybody forgets, is when we're dealing with the entire shoreline zone area, they've got more than their 40% paved canopy. As you may recall, you know, one of the requirements to get a permit under commercial development review ordinance is they can got all the other permits that you need too. So the two are buried. I don't know. Again, I don't know what people think. I don't, so all I was suggesting, Craig, was that
It's all the same. So we can't force them. It's all the same. Canopy's not an issue.
What do you mean it's all the same, like it's impervious?
The canopy hasn't changed.
Oh, the
They haven't cut
canopy,
anything.
yeah.
So it's been existing for a long time.
okay, let's talk about it. Good, it's hard surface. At time permitted, they're adding hard surface pressure to an area.
You don't know if it's not permitted because we lost so much stuff.
What you,
Huh?
what you need to talk. I mean, I agree with Craig. There were a lot of files.
Lost.
Lost,
And that was
misplaced.
someone's excuse. Defending the town. It's been their excuse time. So for them to come after somebody and say, well, geez, well, the towns use that for their excuses, so that's gonna be flipped right back around. So, therefore, when you choose to bite them.
No, I'm not saying we hit them for the violation of any sort, I'm saying moving forward.
Well, it's already existing, so as far as I'm concerned, it's existing. So it's gonna be less impervious if they remove it. So this is a fight we're talking, and we're not even got the information, so.
Yeah, no,
That's just,
I'm not asking clarification, you know, one, did you know you're in the shoreline zone, you're gonna need a shoreline zoning
this is
permit,
AE Hodgson, of course I know.
except it's not in the application. They didn't mention it in the application, that's why I asked, I mean, you would think they would have come in with both at the same time. I would have thought. So make sure they know that. Ask them about, you know, we can't find any record of a shoreline zoning permit or commercial, permit for the, when that was built, and you had the year here based on the photos. You know, do they have copies of that or do they? Those would be two questions that I'm all I'm saying is, rather than blindside. Or anything else people think we could ask Ron's to talk to Jeff Allen about before they come in. Next meeting. Regarding this issue rather than this actual application.
I mean, they have a shoreline zone there. Exhibit E.
Yeah, they have the map.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to recognize that their proposal is,
Well, I think that's the first question.
yeah, no, right. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but,
We'll have to get them on line.
all right, so, can I have a motion to table the application?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table the application.
Second, Penny. Okay. Motion by Nick, second by Penny. All those in favor, Penny? Yes. Nick?
Yes.
Great. George, yes, as well. So 4 is it. Guess we had plenty of time to deal with Alex, didn't we? So the next item on the agenda is the, multifamily dwelling unit application review. Hans has put obviously a fair amount of time into, and that we have,
So this was, basically development Rich, and I've got his notes over there if you want his notes
oh, Rich did this?
to
Okay.
reference as we go through it. Well, you will be here, he's walking the notes.
Well,
The last.
oh, okay, all right, so he wrote it up, you put it together. Very good. I have some minor stuff, but I also had a question. It seems like there's a section of requirements in our most up-to-date version of the, that we just amended a year plus ago, of the multi-family dwelling unit, that are not captured by any of these questions. Information that also required, and unfortunately, it's got 5 items. And I was just wondering if maybe I should type these up so that everybody could look at them. All right, so, number one is, this is just sort of a suggestion, is noting somewhere that a subdivision approval application needs to be submitted at the same time. So that people aren't taken by surprise, but the more substantive than that, there's no place here that calls for a copy of the deed. Another item is, the, information about the proposed drinking water supply well and the number of occupants it serves, because it could be potentially a public drinking water supply well, which,
No,
I'm sorry,
they've done away with it.
what have they done with it?
It's like, well, how do you know it? Something.
Oh, no, I'm talking about these multifamily,
Oh,
in the application, yeah, no. Sorry, if I was unclear.
Have an application for all the family home.
So what did you say, what application needs to be submitted at the same time?
A subdivision application,
Subdivision, okay? Mhm.
yeah, just slow me down.
So are those items listed in the subdivision application? You don't wanna-
Probably,
You don't want to be redundant.
no, that'd be good if we weren't redundant, I don't know how to. I mean, it's kind of messy.
All right, so no.
Well, let me go through the rest of the list and then. Number 4 is it calls for an on-site soil survey for the wastewater system. That's not in this current application, proposal.
That's
The
in 13.
13,
I'm sorry, it's solid waste.
the, I'm sorry, wait a minute, yeah, and then, related to that is documentation. We'll need documentation for the approval of wastewater system by, and it could be you, Hans, but in some larger cases, it could be DHHS or even DEP, depending on volume.
That's item 7.
Number 7,
Yeah, number 6 is drinking.
okay, so maybe it's a matter of. Right, and other things. Covered. Okay, both of those are covered. So there's a section in the ordinance, section 5. And there's a number of items there that we need to make findings of fact about. But if we don't have the information in the application, I don't know how we do that. One, some of the items it calls for is what the lot area is, what the road frontage is, the number of dwelling units in each structure, the number of parking spaces. Need me to repeat any of those?
Okay, that's that, subdivision application needs to be included in the application and submitted at the same time, that's number 1.
Right,
Number 2, no copy of the deed.
right, yeah. And, you know, Hans is right, the proposed drinking water supply, I guess, is covered, so you can ignore that.
Okay, drinking water for number of occupants served, that's, forget that one.
Yep.
And then number 4, cause for on-site water system documentation needed.
Yeah, you can eliminate that one too, Hans pointed out that that's covered.
So number 3, instead of 5, finding.
Yeah.
Lot area, road frontage, number developing units in each structure, number of parking.
Number of parking spaces.
Well, number 5 is the proposed construction, it's like multi-family dwelling unit, so we could expand that to say with,
Right,
number of
right.
units. Parking really is not addressed on here, so
I mean, the only reason I'm bringing this up is I'd like to avoid a situation where somebody completes this application, thinks they provide us with all the information we need, and then we start asking them questions, and they don't have that information, you know, and I just don't wanna play gotcha.
I'm just gonna add including, number of units,
I mean, if we can easily,
bedrooms, and parking.
then doing it on the fly, I'm happy to, you know, write this up and send it to you, Hans, and then you can look at it.
You can, but I'm gonna make notes here.
Okay,
So.
alright. Next would be,
May I ask, would you say the proposed one hundred and the
Number of units,
proposed number of units, okay,
bedrooms, and parking.
Yeah. it's in the file.
bedrooms and parking spaces,
I'm gonna add that number 5, like,
so you still want to leave finding of facts in on that one?
don't worry about numbering them. He said section 5, which is in the ordinance. So I'm gonna reference the ordinance, right, and come up with a findings of fact. Really should be separate.
yeah, it should, and I'm happy to try drafting something up if that would be helpful, but
If you want to, add
before
that.
we get to that point,
May I ask,
sure.
so number 3 instead of 5 is just gonna be the proposed number of units and bedrooms and parking spaces? Not only that. That's them?
Yeah, there's a few more that I have on this list.
Okay,
The next item would be the distance from the leach field edge to the closest private or public well. Because we have setbacks for that. The item after that, is, documentation that it meets the, lighting standard of 0.5 foot candles at the property line. Just, doesn't meet the lighting. Something about the lighting.
does it meet the lighting standard?
Yeah,
You're gonna send this out.
Yeah.
I can, yeah,
For the sake of minutes, you don't need all of them.
Okay, all right.
yeah, get the 10,000 foot view, I guess. The next would have to do with, does it meet the noise level standard? That's in this. Information that, and here's one that I don't remember, but I'm not quite sure how to handle, but it's in the ordinance, and that is a bond for, if they're gonna be building an access road. Assume the ordinance is kind of vague, and I assume that's to show financial capability to build an access road. Yeah, that's, that was my reaction too. I don't even remember that, but anyway.
So, going back to noise part, we're talking about residential space. Why is there noise? Caveat to it.
Well, it's one, I mean, I'm not making this up, it's in the ordinance, and, my argument for something like that would be you get a large number of people living in a defined space, and you're gonna have noise. It's from,
So how in the ordinance, what are you asking for them, what are they supposed to assure? That they're not gonna have loud
There's no way.
people?
well, I mean, it can be mitigated, just like noise can be mitigated on a commercial parcel property with plantings or fencing, or if they can't meet it for some reason, I'm guessing most of them are gonna meet it, but
Well, how are you gonna judge it? different people, it's multi-use, you can have different people, some people are gonna be loud, some people are gonna be quiet. Argue actions.
I thought the noise pertained mainly to like consistent like machinery, like something that they can go and, you know, measure. I didn't know it pertained to like,
Well, I think it's from everything.
Yeah.
Certainly would, you know, if they had an HVAC system that was
Yeah.
particularly loud or
Yeah.
something like that, that would certainly be a
Yeah.
potential source of noise. I mean, I understand your point, Craig. I'm not an expert in this, but, that's what's in the ordinance. I mean, it would be measured the same way it would be for a commercial site. And it's, you know,
It would be
the standard depends on,
but you wouldn't be able to measure that until after they were moved in.
Yeah, it's all speculative.
Well, if there's nothing, if you just have a building, it's not gonna make any noise,
Right,
so how can we?
I mean, more than likely, how this is gonna come up is my guess. My guess is, I'm just gonna get complaints about, you know, from the neighbors living next to this large apartment building. And this gives him a way to figure out, is it a legitimate complaint? Are they, you know, exceeding during, the evening hours, 45 decibels at the property line? Rather than having somebody say, they're too noisy. Well, what's too noisy to you?
Well, what's on state law?
Yeah, that's a.
Well, this is
an argument for the
That's
sheriff.
civil law,
to figure out.
that's not.
These are consistent with what is in state regulations too, and in our commercial development. It's all the same noise.
I don't know where it's, code enforcement.
I mean, it's kind of hard because it's
You
speculative.
can't. What are you gonna do? It's quiet now.
Well, no, well, you don't go down to, I mean, we don't regulate the individual renters. We regulate the developer and the owner of the property. Town. So that becomes their problem. So, not, you know, not the individual. I mean, he or she may very well go to, you know, apartment number 6, it's partying until 3 AM in the morning.
No, I guess if it's consistent.
so it'd be like a stipulation.
Yeah.
Maybe we should take it out of the ordinance, not enforce it. Or even
I just don't know, if somebody's.
Of course it's enforceable. So many towns enforce this all the time, including Augusta.
Towns with police force.
Well, when Gary was here, he enforced it in Augusta. Cause I remember him telling us about that because he had the equipment for it, had the meter for it.
In a resident, I mean, there's quiet hours. We don't have. Just our. I don't see where our ordinance on this future development residential living can have a noise standard. You gotta have quiet people, nobody can vacuum at the same time. I mean, where do we go?
I would personally think we would be not doing, abutters and neighbors of these kinds of development and real injustice if we didn't minimize the amount of nuisance that, a facility like this might create in an existing residential neighborhood.
It's
And
not
that
in the
includes
ordinance.
noise.
It's not in what the legislature passed.
He's saying it's the ordinance, you know.
Yeah, no, it's in our ordinance, it's what was, you know, that Katie Cog helped us develop, of course. They were relying on a model ordinance. So I'm guessing there's a lot of other towns that have this in their multifamily dwelling unit.
I'm just thinking because it's a multi-family building, so there's gonna be multiple people that they might put some type of equipment in the service of multiple people, and that can't be like a consistent noise.
Right, yeah.
Just if somebody's getting an application to build a new multi-family dwelling unit, I don't know how you test how loud the people are gonna be that
Yeah,
are
I mean,
in there.
you know, the difficult part about this is it could be a small apartment complex, well, like, for example, the ones that have been developed, have, been approved under this are like the ones that, the Daysville down on 27, and, John, it was different, it was the old ordinance, but
And like you said, like if they were putting in multi, like, HVAC, units or some, generators that weren't inverters and they were gonna be routing their power or something like that.
But I mean, I don't know if any of you've ever lived in really large apartment complexes, but I did when I lived in Connecticut. And there was a lot of noise. I mean, it was, I don't know,
So where's the noise?
25 units.
Where's the noise?
People are loud. Dogs are loud.
Where's the section?
In the ordinance? It would be, section 5 on page 9, item 10.
And there are multiple dwelling.
Yeah. Starting on page, actually, it's on page 11, and, wrong page, page 9. Number 10. The maximum permissible noise from any regular or frequent source of sound within the development, including vehicle traffic, shall be no more than 60 decibels between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. and 45 decibels at other times as measured at the property.
So that's more like a condition of approval. Pre-built out. Pre-development stage.
Oh, that might be the case, yeah. Versus say like with Hammond lumber where they can predict it.
Right. That's how I understand. Change.
So maybe
Consistent, running consistent.
That as a standard condition of approval.
That's why I'm saying we may have to put it as like a stipulation or something.
Yeah, 'cause I mean,
So that would be like a standard condition of approval.
I just don't see where they could go and say.
Because even
I
if you,
don't wanna be argumentative, I just.
if
Yeah,
you,
no, I'm fine with that. I just,
I mean, even like if you're cutting the grass, you probably getting up over 45 decibels,
Yeah. I mean, probably shouldn't be doing that at 1 a.m., but.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's what it's
It's like we don't want to piss off the neighbors. I mean, a lot of places it doesn't even matter at all, so. I mean, we might be able to, maybe there are others that's better, that way too.
What's it, 10 a.m., 10 p.m. to 7 a.m.?
It's
7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
9, yeah, right, 9:30 to 7 a.m. And then, let's see, oh, well, that was it, so what I can do is I can type these up as an email, send them to all of you, and then we can discuss some more. If you can think of ways to easily modify what you've already done, that'd be great. Like I said, my only objective is to ensure that, we're not going through we're reviewing our first, application and then all of a sudden we're asking for information that the applicant has no idea that they were supposed to provide.
My answer was subcontractor info sheet. What the hell is that?
I guess to have a better record, we did concrete, we did the.
No, we don't have any building inspectors, don't have anything, so we don't have that in any other ordinance application. It's gonna go. You have a contract in front, that's what now.
Yeah.
Subcontractors don't matter because the subcontractors are changing from scheduling. Some people have subcontractors. Some people don't even know the contractor when they're applying for the permit. We can put a condition on construction contract,
Well,
subcontract.
I kind of agree with you, so number 4, go through the number 4. All those things, which ones get crossed off and which ones.
How are you supposed to know anything? Once you're applying for an application. Well, not absolutely, because a multi-family could be small. Like we just found. Some first, some architect. Design. Soil evaluators, you already have that
Percent.
down on 7, right?
Perceptive, but if they need stormwater, then that's a different, right?
Yeah, 'cause it would-
I don't think Richard just kind of put it all out here, I don't think he's married to it, but he put it all out. This is what was put to this.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I agree with Craig, that it just seems like information is gonna change before construction starts. And I'm just looking at the ordinance too, there are 2 items that kind of relate. One, the first reads, the name of the contractor or builder responsible for construction of the multifamily dwelling unit subdivision, including the name and certification number of the main DEP certified excavation contractor, so that's simple enough. The name or names of the architect, engineers, licensed soil evaluator, and any other professional expertise employed or plan to be employed during the completion of the proposal, including your state professional licensing information. So that's not subcon,
Well, that's asking for subcontractor, what that's your plumber and your electric. That's the only 2 licenses.
oh, right. I mean, if they're submitting a design plan, state law requires the engineer to stamp that and put the license number. Same with the soil evaluator.
I didn't realize what you just read was in.
Probably, I guess, one of Rich put it in. So maybe that list should be clarified, so it isn't just subcontractors in general, because, that include a lot of different things, and maybe it should be, using wording that's in the ordinance.
License.
Yeah.
Neither man, we don't know who that would be. Again. Well, not all, it's been done. That's what it's like. Drywall is pictures, your, floor guys, the welder.
Yeah.
All these guys.
Like the landscaper.
drywall, mud,
Yeah, right, you don't want all them in here, what do we gonna do?
finish guy, cabinet guy.
Right.
Yeah, right, no,
So-
what if that was changed to state licensed subcontractor?
License.
For license contract.
I'm fine with it.
The license.
And maybe add in. Somehow we're gonna have to figure this out, so that, it'll be a condition of approved, because they're not gonna know anything.
A lot of times it's the contract, the general contractor that has.
That has-
contracts, it's not even-
They have a general contract.
And
He
we,
has 4 or 5 guys, it depends on who's available.
right, we run into a lot where people don't even have a contractor yet, we put that as a stipulation. And so, if they don't have a contract, they definitely don't have subcontract.
Provide state licensed contractors.
So do that in another condition of approval.
Um,
Yeah, and they don't have to use an architect, right, so
No, a lot
the
of them,
engineer, they have to give us a stamped engineer,
yeah,
so engineer. And sort of, like you said, remove licensed subcontractor.
anybody else have anything about the application? Just table this. Table the, family dwelling unit application.
no motion, give it a motion, give it a motion.
I'll second that,
All in favor, Penny?
Yeah.
Nick?
yes.
Great. George, yes. Okay. Water treatment area, review of the map. Run us through this.
Franklin's what we're saying.
No, what they wanted to do was, any new construction provide a buffer.
In the construction.
In this zone, any new construction in this zone to have available space for lots.
For a treatment system.
But we said we were gonna disallow that for the total square footage in the shoreline. Right,
Correct.
we're not gonna count that toward the total
It's
square
not counting towards square footage
shoreline.
in the shore. So they wanted us, because it's down, this is bond.
So, what I
Does this
did,
include Pickens Cove?
no, cause somebody, someone asked for a map of the triangle. It's in some line. What I did is I just went to. I don't want to. Circle around the triangle. 1,000 foot radius.
So,
And it lists the houses. I was able to get this from the state. This chart shows the measurement of these properties that they're monitoring. And some of them are Christie stores down to a level where they almost don't need a filtration system.
well, yeah, I have a couple of questions about what the map actually represents, but we have friends who live on Pinewood Drive, and their well was very low concentrations, and so it's 56-1. And, so they're not in pink, and I assume pink are the ones that are considered contaminated above the, action level by
Yes.
DOT.
That's on this list. I just
Uh,
highlighted them.
And what does the red represent? Is that the area that they've,
That,
done modeling on?
no,
the,
that circle is just the map I used, I had to create a list
Oh,
to
okay,
include the properties, so I expanded it to include the last like 64A at the bottom,
okay,
and I couldn't erase that circle. Just ignore the circle.
so,
So what the select board's looking for us is create an ordinance, any new construction provides a place for the water system. That's what they're doing, it's the state and town is doing, is they're going to all these places, building places. Adding them on to the houses.
Right.
fence, To put the system in.
right,
So they want any new construction to have space provided. And we have to, and this came up in Tuesday night's meeting. We have to provide clean water, to anybody that has property.
Right.
So it's not, Melanie thought it was what was already existing. That was clarified Tuesday night, that's no,
So-
Maine and town has to provide clean drinking water, clean water for anybody that has any property.
their concern is if one of these lots got divided in two and somebody built a new house, that it had to get, bump out.
While you have, the subdivision right here by cemetery. So it's gonna require them to have space. To put.
Which
A water
lot
system in.
is the subdivision you're talking about, which lot is that on?
Tyler Evans.
Oh, Tyler Evans, well, that, oh, okay, so,
And you know, yeah.
so this would apply town, kind of almost more than what's shown on this map, because Tyler Evans' property is on the other side,
Yeah,
it's
he's
what,
not
47
contaminated, but
They're not contaminated.
Pickens Cove is.
Alright, so, but you have another property coming out for sale, there could be 4 units put in there.
Yeah, or,
You know, it's, this properties that you sit, and now with your, LD 2003. You know, people can start talking.
right,
houses and
right,
Maple Sonic, so it's a basic, anybody in the contaminated area. Maybe that's how we're gonna word it, or we get a definite, it's not to say this contamination is not widespread.
well, or, see, and you stayed up to speed on this, and I haven't, and maybe you know if this has changed, but at one point, maybe 3 years ago, I had asked at a select board meeting in DOT whether they've done any modeling, groundwater flow modeling to show how far, the contamination is spread, knowing that just by sampling wells, you may miss some of the contamination. And at that point, they hadn't done that, and it sounded to me like they had absolutely no plans. So I think you're correct. There could be not only contamination spreading, but it could be more widespread than this indicates. Probably at the margins, but, you know,
The only properties that are showing increase over time is post office and introductions.
Craig, did you ever find out whether or not they decided, they just gonna filter it out and dump it back into the?
Yeah, that's all, I should have forwarded that, I'll forward it. And that was brought up Tuesday night, select board meeting too, Jules. And she said, well, you know. The guy, what was his name, the guy who was talking to the state, Dwight, was telling the select board at the time. The town office is one that was putting salt right back down into the ground. That was the reason for public water system. Well, flash forward, the same guy, Dwight, says, oh no, it was really very little. And as a matter of fact, because now they wanna go from public water system to filtration system. And, so now, and that's what I brought up, and that's what I brought up to the select board, it's like, you know, this is horrible, it just depends on what agenda they're pushing, or what they try to say. So they wanted the public water system at first, they were saying the filtration system, putting salt back down in the ground, this is the highest concentration of salt you put back down in the ground from the town office. Melanie brought it up, so it wasn't just what I brought up through information I'd gotten earlier. So she brought it up just in her own memory of being on the select board. Now that's all changed, but now it has little effect. And we're gonna put all these filtration systems in. Over to
Good, thank you.
And, so. Now we're back to filtration systems, putting salt back into the ground. And,
No effect.
it's just because they decided to stay, and this is the same guy saying both things.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I brought up to the, I looked right at the select board Tuesday night, this is, you know, this is what really sucks about town politics is because, or politics, I didn't say town politics, I said politics. And, it's just dependent on what agenda they're on, is what they're pushing. So you don't even know the truth. It's, it changes all the time. It's like, oh, we're gonna push this agenda, we're gonna say this, and flash forward 4 years later, or, we haven't got the funding now, so we're gonna do these filtration systems, and we're gonna take care of them for 15 years, but then everybody's screwed. You know,
Maybe if you filtered the water and got rid of the salt after 15 years, it wouldn't be such a bad problem. Doesn't,
Does the filtration work?
it'll work, yeah. Reverse osmosis system work, just putting salt in
you
the ice.
isolate the salt and then you just throwing it back.
I mean,
But it'd be more money to then now have to collect all that salt and get rid of that salt. So
So,
they're probably trying to eliminate that.
well, they were gonna do a public water system,
Right.
they have a well, but it's just gonna give people water.
Yeah.
Now it's.
so, you know, I'm not really sure, you know. I mean, I have my, as you know, my own personal issues with those point of entry treatment systems that you summarize, but based on my experience that but that aside, you know, if they, this almost sounds like some kind of zoning ordinance or something.
Exactly.
Well, that's kind of what they were looking for, is the contaminated salt zone area, any new construction, and this was brought up. Pennsy.
Maybe we'll put it in the ordinance that they're gonna do with salt.
I don't know if it's something necessarily that we have to do, but, how.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
So-
the problem.
The select board would be more
Specific.
specific on what they want.
I mean, to be honest with you, off the top of my head, I can't think of how to approach this problem. It seems kind of silly to develop Belgrade's first zoning ordinance just for this limited period of this area of town. And, maybe I'm wrong about that, and maybe there's a better and different way to skin this cat, you know, I mean, if they want us to.
The only way to never get a warning would be to make you drill the well first, test the well, and if it's salted or contaminated, they're gonna build filtration room into the plants.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, Hans, because like I said, DOT they don't really know the extent of the contamination.
So now everybody has to go to well.
I mean, you know, you can approximate it, by testing different, all the different individual private drinking water supply wells and the public well for the town office and et cetera. And that'll give you an approximation, but you know, where on lot 63 is contaminated and where it's not, they don't know that, the answer to that. So if you write an ordinance and saying anybody that, you know, builds on lot 663 or subdivisions thereof have to have this bump out, they might not even need the bump out.
or a space in the basement, or.
Yeah, or a
lot of
space in the
people doing
basement, yeah,
slabs.
right, yeah, no, that's the problem, like, yeah,
Because it's cheaper, you don't have a floor system, you don't have to dig in, you don't have, so a lot of these new homes being built.
Yeah.
Are like slab. So. You know, and that was something going on with like Dan McKenzie, just because the process like $5,000-7,000. So that was something the select board was looking at, and we can pick up back to flex works. Why is it on us? They just designate stuff so easily, and then it takes so long to ship it out. Through the select board, you know, town, it's borderline ridiculous at this point.
well, it would be helpful, I mean,
So,
anything we do is gonna take us a lot of time.
right,
You know, I would like to see us get clear guidance on what they want, so
Yeah.
that,
Exactly.
it doesn't take any more time than it has to, and to make sure that they really know what they want. Cause I don't wanna develop something,
they don't know what to do, that's why they just kicked it off to us.
I mean,
But
the
they
only
didn't
thing
give
that-
us any specifics to do it. So how are we gonna do something?
I mean, we can definitely write something in shortly.
yeah, no, that would be the easiest, but
Yeah.
this isn't in the show, so.
Well, some of them,
No, these, Kettleville ponds, they're not big enough to.
oh, okay.
But Pinkeys
Yeah,
Cove
but,
is,
you know,
Pinkeys Cove isn't contaminated area.
Yeah.
Putting filtrations.
We're already doing.
This isn't the entirety of it, it's just area that DOT, right? What segment, right?
So I don't understand exactly either what the select board expects. So they need to clarify. Basically.
so Hans, what's the best way to convey that back to the select board through you? You want me to contact?
You or Sarah, to the point. What not?
I
Oh.
don't do that without a legitimate map, without, you know, and what if it expands? The town's still gonna have to. Stay. And my problem is, they voted on this to save money. There was a 15 I think it was 15.
Yeah. I'll call her and whoever does it, probably should be me, and she, but, that would be a little bit for her, and, CC everybody.
And it's all, it's not a big deal, it's just a matter of making space for a water system. How do you,
Yeah,
it's not like it's gonna be affecting anybody building,
Typically, you put it in the basement,
typically,
but you know, basement,
they need space for
small
us.
square footage project.
So that's all they're asking, but I don't know how we can do it.
What about, what about current homes that are already built that don't have filtration systems
No, that doesn't, that's not, it's all new construction.
on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Sarah and, probably I'll end up doing it. Anything else on that? We have minutes, do we have minutes? And then after we've done the minutes, there's one item, about the, shoreline zoning ordinance. to, ask people about.
The Chesley Land here been working on the agenda. Chesley Land here.
No.
No,
He's a
no,
public,
he was
he
off.
walk in, member of the public has a question.
Walk in. Okay.
And we only took him first because Hans assured me.
Yeah. All right, I just.
I just wanna make sure it's not my fault, Hans, that's all.
No, I was on the fence because it's a garage and that's what he wants to use it for, yet he's gonna appear different than the auto place landscaping. It's gonna be more,
Still
Transient.
retail and it's still.
yeah,
Commercial.
it falls under the same umbrella, but it's a different appearance. I want to make sure.
Service.
I didn't feel like it was my fault.
So you can play that game too, huh?
Yeah.
What you're saying. Oh, I wasn't there. You're starting, just, no, we don't.
No.
So I guess we can't review this. Thank you for your efforts. Yeah. Carry the minutes of April 17th, 2025 over. So we have a minimum of 3 board members.
We need to
that
make
were
a
present at
motion,
that meeting.
motion for that.
No, I don't think so. Let's see. So this was a question I asked Hans before started the meeting, but maybe others know the answer. The amendments to the shoreline zoning ordinance that were approved by the voters back in March. That has to do with the Supreme Court decision. Does anybody know whether whether that was submitted to Maine DEP for their approval? The state law and our ordinance require it to be approved, and it doesn't go into effect until such time as they've approved it. So, dawn on me. Since I missed a number of meetings, I didn't know, so.
Everyone's motion.
I don't know.
I'll forward it. Forward it to Bob, you know?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
After that, then.
After that, and then.
Yes, please.
Very important. Okay, so what is it?
Then Hans will be contacting, Colin Clark at Maine DEP, and submitting the, revised shoreline zoning ordinance, and I guess asking them whether it's been already submitted to them for approval.
By letter?
Email.
Letter?
Email.
Oh, email.
Anybody else have questions or anything that we should discuss before we adjourn? Oh, motion to adjourn. Second. Votes in favor? Unanimous. Can't agree on much, but we can agree on that. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, George, good job. How was that,